Hey, you shut the fuck up, man.
Alright, I'll shut up.
You're on J-Baby time.
What do you mean, Mr. Studio Man? You heard me?
You heard me.
J-Baby gotta make these tracks for that album.
Now go make Big Daddy his money.
I'm going home. Like, who the fuck are any of
I'm Jay. I have Nick here.
Hello.
And I have Darius.
Good evening.
Now, Darius wasn't part of this ordeal, but we're going to talk about, well, with this idea of the series, we're going to talk about D&D stories from our games. Traumatizing moments, beautiful moments, amazing moments, funny moments. Who knows? We're going to talk about... we could talk about the, well, with the Celestial Serpent story, which was with Ricky and them. We could talk about the Seven, which is the Phantom Trope by y'all names.
Yeah, the one where Joe has a hero pod and punched the nog. Yep.
Okay. That's another story for another time. Or we could talk about my most hated story. And one that me and Nick wish to not remember, but
I don't know why you have a smile on your face.
I have a smile on my face because I feel like this is...
I don't know what about this you find thoroughly entertaining.
Look, bro, it happens. Not with every good story, there's always a bad one or a bad session to follow
problem, bro.
up.
I'm just gonna give you full disclosure. Like, the more I talk about this, the more bleeping you're gonna have to do.
So this story has me and Nick basically teaching these new kids, I would say, the world of D&D, and this is a family friend of mine. So I'm like, the kid's young. His mom shows up and was like, hey, look, he doesn't have any friends. What better way to introduce somebody than D&D? You get to meet people. You get to experience, I guess. You get to do something that's not on your ass playing on your PS4. I obviously tell Nick, yo, Nick, I got this guy who wants to play D&D. He wants to also invite his friend over to play D&D. Nick, I pick up Nick because Nick's my trusty, handy dandy man.
Full fucking disclosure. He asked me and I didn't want to do it.
Yeah.
Full fucking disclosure. I didn't want to do it. There was no reason for me to do it. It was in a house I didn't know, for some kid I didn't know.
I bribed him with pizza.
My poor ass. I needed food.
He needed food.
Still not worth it.
So it's like, Nick, you either take this pizza, fat man, or you starving for the day. Wench. And he took the pizza.
Shouldn't have taken it.
He took the bait. He took the pepperoni slice, fat man.
Get you baited.
Should have stayed home and ate fucking sleep for dinner.
Should have ate a good old healthy bowl of struggle.
Some oxygen, bro.
Photosynthesis. Imagine the pair in Yu-Gi-Oh! With Weevil and the other T-Rex guy. That's what they look like. Imagine them. I forgot the T-Rex guy's name. Whatever. Doesn't matter. The person who's close to me is Weevil. I'm just going to call him Weevil throughout this whole episode. Weevil looks at his friend and is like, yeah, D&D is like doing your taxes. And I'm sitting there and I'm eating pizza and I'm like, wait, what? Wait, what? And Nick's face is like, what are you talking about?
Where did you get this analogy?
So,
this fucking Dr. Dyke.
So this fucking Einstein of a man really says that, and I have to correct him. I'm like, yo, look, that's not really what I meant. This is a young kid. I'm talking about like he just barely became 16. So I didn't think that equaled stupid, but I guess whatever. I prepped a little session for them. Nothing too difficult. It's literally like an introductory D&D. Go into the dungeon, get something, get out. This man says, oh, yeah, we're only going to play for an hour because me and my friend are going to go play GTA. And I'm sitting there, and I'm like, who the fuck decided this? who the fuck? And I'm basically like, look, dude, you clearly don't know how this works, and I understand. When you normally tell somebody that you're making a commitment like this, you're committing yourself to 3 to 5 hours on playing this game. I brought Nick here for just to eat my fucking pizza. I'm not beat for it. I paid Nick. Nick is on the clock. Nick is training Weevil.
No.
And I'm training T-Rex on how to make their characters. Now, I think you made like a fighter samurai guy. Weevil, I believe, made a paladin. And T-Rex guy made a rogue. And so the story started like this. It was in 𝐥𝐤𝐤. So I make it in 𝐥𝐤𝐤. I make it in the samurai part of 𝐥𝐤𝐤. And in there, it's like this small little town. And essentially, the man who runs it was an ex-shogun. He's a retired shogun. And the ad goes, my daughter's missing. Easy. Simple. To get people into the game, easy thing to make to bring them in. They all get bounties on the contract or whatever. And they are tasked to go into this town.
That was the plan.
That was the plan. Weevil.
Oh no.
Weevil decides, I'm going to go to the tavern to ask information. You know what? Good decision. Nick is like, I'm going to go to the estate. Because the contract clearly says an estate. So Nick goes to the estate. Rogue character goes to the estate. They go to the fucking gates. And Nick is like, all right, cool, whatever. Trying to open the gate. And my man looks at me and tells me, I want to steal weed. And I pause. I'm like, what? He's like, I want to steal weed. And Nick, his face said it all. His face was like, oh no. His face.
You know that moment where like something happens and you don't process it, so you're just smiling like, what happened? Huh? What?
What you doing there, cuz?
And Nick actually did that. He was like, what are you doing? He was like,
over the bachata. What are you doing, man?
Tu me hiciste brujería. Like, fucking. And so Nick looks at this guy and is like, what the fuck are you doing? And this guy was like, oh, I was a criminal back home. So I'm going to steal weed. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, oh no. Like, I clearly have made a mistake. So I tell him, hey, are you sure? He says yes. He takes the weed. Takes like some weed. Like it was so. At the time, it was like, you know what? It's whatever. It's fucking weed. Who cares?
It's a oopsie doozy, you know, whatever.
No, bro. I should have just stopped the session.
Oh.
I should have just stopped the fucking session, bro.
No.
I should have just stopped the session. So Weevil actually goes into the tavern and talks to people. Nick's student, protege, that Nick was complaining about, is actually playing the fucking game. And so he gets out, successful, because they're able to tell him, hey, go over there to the estate. You're going to meet with the ex-shogun dude. And he gets out, and he's fine. He's not out here trying to steal weenies. He's just out here trying to play the fucking story.
He stole my weenies.
Well, I'm going to give my grandma's cataracts now.
They're finally at the door, right? Oh, I can't. I fucking can't.
This
The content, Nick! Wait! Nick, please!
I could have killed him. With my bare hands, IRL, I could have killed him.
He's a bubble boy.
You know that mansion-like estate? We're in front of the house. I knocked on the door, and he goes, knowing that I knocked on the door, goes, I want to lockpick the house.
And I, as the DM, was like, are you sure?
I'm like, yo, they didn't go home. They didn't go to that room and eat pizza and play GTA. They went and smoked that dank cook.
And the gods of D&D have responded. 𝐥𝐤𝐤𝐞 came down, grabbed his dice, and threw it with them. He was heart of the cards, natural 1. So the butler opens the door with the tool still stuck inside.
Wait.
As the butler's like,
what happens next?
What are you doing?
Little toast on rye, motherfucker.
This man goes, I own this place.
My man goes, nah, I wasn't lockpicking the door. I live here.
I live here. I live here.
I just forgot the keys.
Bro, I had to look
at that point. I just like the blood rushed to my ears and all that noise zoomed out, and all I heard was bachata. And
no. What you heard was the window, like the window XP.
Mind you, Weevil has a sister. Who's sitting right behind me, and she's listening to the whole thing. And even she, who had nothing to do with this, looked over and was like, "Are you a fucking idiot?"
I didn't know about that.
And she overhears that, and I'm crying at this point. There, I was tearing up. My bare hands,
my meaty claw.
And this motherfucker says this shit, and the IC on the K was she turned around and said, "What? What the fuck? Are you stupid?"
Had nothing to do.
And then he was like, "Wait, this D&D, I can do whatever I want."
No.
And even she said it. She was like, "Within reason."
Like, we have a saying in D&D. D&D is based off of some type of realism.
Like, we had to pause the game to explain to this man the concept of don't do stupid shit. Do
for
stuff,
20 minutes.
Don't do stuff that you wouldn't do IRL. Like, yeah, it's a game where you can explore and fantasize and go beyond what you can normally do. But like, if you're gonna don't try to stab a child if you want to stab a child in real life. And that wasn't from my mouth. That was from his friend, the one that I was teaching to play D&D. Like, he understood that without me having to explain much to him.
Mind you, he was the impatient one with Nick. Now I understand why he was impatient. He knew. He just knew. This kid, however, Rogue Kid, who apparently got it, did not. I failed. Whatever. Oh, Darius, it gets worse. So, I open up the room. And they see like a red carpet leading up to his desk, and everything that everybody sees is like the old decorative samurai armor. And I show him like depressed. This man is depressed. He's like sitting there crying because his little girl is missing.
He vividly says this. He excruciatingly, painstakingly says this guy's on his chair, fucking. He looks worried about his daughter, like about how his daughter got kidnapped. And I shit you not, my man's immediate response was to laugh. And we all look at him like me, that kid I taught, and Jay looked at this and he's laughing, and we're like, bro, what's so funny? And in character, he goes,
"Oh, it's so basic of a story that I just started laughing." He not only insults the guy, but he's actually insulting me. It's like, all right, look, you can talk about whatever the fuck you want. He takes him to the forest, and he shows him the way. And those guys go, and they go into like this little swampy area.
It's a swamp.
It's a swamp. A swamp! Get out of me, swamp!
Yep.
A swamp. A swampy swamp. What do you find in swamps?
No type of like tropical fruits there or anything like that.
No, absolutely
it's a
not.
Fucking swamp.
So my man goes, I want to climb up a tree and I want to grab a coconut.
And then I looked at him and I really looked at him and I go, all right, my man, I respect you to an extent right now, as given to anybody I will just meet, as is my nature, Nick Cruz. I looked him dead in the face and I go, what do you know about coconuts, my man?
What do you know about coconuts that we don't?
And he was like, yeah, they come from trees, bro, so I'm trying to get a coconut from a tree. Snuffing my bare head!
He was right.
He was right there. And this motherfucker goes, yo, if I can get a coconut from a palm tree, I can find one in this swamp. And I'm like, oh, so you know what a palm tree is? Mushy mush!
Mushy mush. So now I feel insulted. I have my fucking feelings hurt. I have a fucking brain dead fucko. I have Captain Dickass literally ruining my session. I have Weevil actually wanting to play the game. And I have bachata music playing in the background.
Oh, the bachata was just the icing on the cake. Like, I was actually mad. Like, I was actually getting very upset at the fact that I was here. In this very same instance of, like, oh, I can't get a coconut from this. I guess I'll just grab one of the leaves and eat it.
We finally get to the stupid fucking dungeon. Weevil decides to stealth with Nick. He's a paladin. He's not supposed to.
But he looks at me and he's like, yo, this guy, I think he knows what he's doing, so I'm going to do what he does.
I'm going to do what he does. The rogue, the other rogue, the actual rogue, T-Rex rogue decides.
Because you know what I tell him? I go, oh, if we enter too loudly, we may trigger something. And he's like, oh, yeah? And then you remember that basic storytelling thing?
He goes in there yelling out of the top of his lungs, hey, there's somebody here!
And we all look at him like, what are you doing? And he's like, oh, you know, basic plot, bro.
Zombies wake up. Mm-hmm. They attack this man.
And me and I look at my protege, so to speak. I look at Weevil and I go, what do you want to do? And he goes, he's my friend because of backstory reasons. I'm going to go help him out. And I was like, I'll help you. I'm not going to help him. I'm going to help you.
Obviously, the skeletons knock the fucking rogue out.
They curb stomp his ass.
They curb stomp his ass. Like, remember that scene in fucking JoJo with the boy stomping that one guy out?
Yeah,
that was essentially the skeletons just beating the fuck out this guy. Nick and Weevil win the fucking encounter.
Sneak attack. Mm-hmm. And then I find a pathway that leads to a locked door. Yeah. And I'm a rogue, so I know how to rogue properly. And this kid is like still following bottles. And we eventually look at him and go, just come with us. Just shut up and follow us. Mm-hmm. And I proceed to lockpick the door. And my man goes, and correct me if I'm wrong, Jay. Please do, because I'm about to swear up a storm if I get too far with this. Mm. My man goes, oh no, I'm gonna kick that dwarf, because I was a dwarf. I'm gonna kick that dwarf out of the way and knock down the door.
I'm gonna kick down the door. I'm like, bro.
We're both rogues.
Bro.
We're both rogues.
Literally, I had to break down and be like, yo, bro.
And then I heard
you literally wanted to rob a man in his estate where you were going to get the job, but you don't want to lockpick the door?
Full disclosure, Darius, at that point, at that point, I was going to walk home. I had it. Like, I looked at Jay, and Jay was like, please. And that's the only reason I sat down and was like, he does what to me? Oh, hell no,
You were like, yo, Jay, no, I tried to stop him. The problem was, I made him roll the athletic stuff against the acrobatics. The kid succeeds. Nick rolled really low.
Because I'm also acrobatics.
So he manages to get away from Nick and kick down the door.
So at that point, I'm like, alright, I'm going to let him do whatever he wants. Hey, Paladin dude, yeah, come with me. And then the kid, right, his friend, Weevil, looks at me and he immediately understands what's going on. He's like, oh, sure, no problem. And we just run away.
And he kicks down the door. And he turns around and he's like, guys, where are you going? Now, why I mentioned that room was so important and why that room was dangerous and why stealth was the option was because while I was doing this, I generated a map and I placed certain enemies in there. One of those enemies was a banshee. And as soon as he kicked down the door, I did my surprise roll with the banshee, and the banshee instantly killed him. So I described how the banshee basically got over the door, screamed at him, and ripped out his throat. and his character was dead. And it was such a fucking wild ending to a story that I ended it there.
I was so happy because I was like, I already had my shit on and like packed up my stuff ready to leave, and I looked at 𝐦𝐤𝐤 and I go, honest to God, I looked at this. Let's do this again sometime. I don't know, man. I'm a peaceful person by nature. But I looked at that kid's friend and I was like, don't show up. He's like, don't. I'm not.
I sat there and I looked at him. I closed my book, closed my little DM screen, and I was like, so tell me, what the fuck was any of that shit? You explain to me where the fuck you think that was okay to do. You do know that I fucking...
While the bachata was playing.
My money. So, I'm sitting there and I'm like, where the fuck do you think that any of that shit was okay? I understand you don't respect me. I understand you don't respect Nick. But to do that to your own friend who got out of his way to invite you here to enjoy this game. He didn't want to play this game without you. And this is the shit you turn up? And the kid's like, oh, I'm sorry or whatever. And, he didn't understand. I was like, yo, bro, if we're going to have to do a fucking session 2, I want you to go home. I want you to look at fucking how to play D&D videos. Because apparently I don't know how to fucking teach people shit. So you know what? Go home. Watch shit like Matt Mercer's like how to play D&D shit. Because he has, it was when Handbooker Helper came out.
Mm-hmm.
So go watch fucking shit like that. Then come back and fucking we can do this again. But you wasted my time, you wasted your friend's time, you wasted all of our fucking time for nothing. Just because you want to be a fucking dumbass and search for coconuts in fucking swamp areas and fucking disrupt the fucking session.
My man Jay, we had left. It was like done. We were done so, and then
Yeah.
I walked out the house and he was like, "Yo, so what did you think?" And I was like, "I'm not doing this again." Like I almost had an argument with Jay because I was like, he was like, "Nah, we got to do a part 2," and I was like, "Nope."
I was saying to do a part 2, not for that guy, but for 𝐸𝐤𝐤, because 𝐸𝐤𝐤, like the family friend, I was not upset with his performance.
I wasn't either.
For a new guy, I wasn't upset.
But
had it just been 𝐸𝐤𝐤, I think I would have never had those problems. It would have just been a simple, whatever game. But because his friend was there, it was very fucking bad. It was like the first time where the saying "no D&D is better than bad D&D" really popped into my head.
So I wouldn't be playing it.
I think that was the end of our story, of our little coconut story.
Oof.
That
was rough.
Yeah, it was bad. A lot of this shit's gonna get cut down.
Coconuts, visit your local swamp.
Visit your swamp. So, if you like this episode, please give us a like, follow, and subscribe. Give Nick some love in the comments.
I don't need love, I need vengeance.
My
bare hands are quivering with anticipation.
Oh man.
This is gonna be the start of something beautiful, I hope.
You know what I truly wish in like 2 years of like hypothetically we become big as a YouTuber. He just shows up out of nowhere and he's like, "Yo, I follow you guys on YouTube and I became a better D&D player."
Oh,
I low-key wish that.
You low-key wish that?
Yep.
Would you play with him?
Yes, but I would let him know that if he does that same shit again, I'm mollywopping him.
These bad hands! Alright, that's where we end the episode. Bye!
Careful.